back to my channel. It's been a while. I miss you guys. I'm sorry I haven't been able to upload videos recently. As you all know, I've been on a plant ban, so I don't know, I just haven't really figured out what to share with you guys. But for the past couple days, I was getting a couple of messages or DM about Hoya Care, and I figured, why not? I'm not really the most expert in regards to Hoya Care. Like I said, in the past, I've only started almost 2.5 years now, almost 3. So I'm still a newbie myself, but I wanted to share with you guys today what I've learned through those 2.5 years, and it worked for me, so I'm hoping it worked for you guys as well. On top of that, I've been just busy with a new hobby that I started, which is macrame. I'm not super good with it yet, but I think so far for a beginner it's not that bad. But yeah, I'm excited about this one, and it kind of got me occupied. I kind of got addicted doing it. But let's go ahead and start with the Hoya Care video. Okay, so the first one we're going to be talking about for today is watering. Now, this is a bit tricky for me, since given the watering I do for my medium is passive hydro or semi-hydro, which is involving self-watering pots. I did ask a bunch of you guys, if you are on Instagram, I did ask a bunch of you guys on Instagram what you guys have questions about, and I will also actually be reading those today and trying to answer them as best as I could. Okay, so other than that, what I think worked for me back in the day, because I still have a couple Hoya that are in soil right now, and I think the only tip or Hoya Care that I can share with you guys that I've learned and also have heard multiple times is that you only water when soil is dry. Now you have to, I don't have one here, but you have to kind of feel it all the way through, not just the top, because you know, for someone that's new, I know most of you guys know, but for someone that's new, usually the top part of the soil dries out pretty fast, and sometimes it looks dry at the top, but in the middle, at the bottom, it's still kind of wet. So you got to make sure it's completely dry, or close to being dry at least. Normally the trick to do that is like the finger, you put your finger or a stick, and if it comes out clean, that means it's dry. Well, not super clean, but you still see a bit. But if it comes out and there's a lot of dirt clumping up on your stick or your finger, and you can obviously feel that it's still moist if you use your finger, then don't water it yet. But see, with that one, it can get tricky, because there are Hoyas that prefer to be moist, like a Hoya retusa, Hoya linearis, Ingleriana, I'm not sure, but the smaller leaf ones, they tend to like the soil moist. They don't like to be dried out. So this is where I think your experience and just trial and error comes into play. You can listen to everyone's advice, but at the end of the day, it just depends on how hot it is, how humid where you're at. So you kind of have to listen in a sense to your Hoyas, what they're needing in regards to water. But that's why I started with the self-watering pots, just because I've been struggling to keeping them not overwatered. I tend to just overwater and kill them for the first couple months, and that wasn't good. But with this one, I wanted to tell you that I've experienced for the past 3 months now, I have killed a few from underwatering. Now, if you're an expert, you probably know that I have never heard of Hoyas dying from underwatering before, so till it happened to me. Now, given underwatering is a bit more I would say a little bit forgiving compared to overwatering, it can still kill your Hoya to the point of no return. So what causes it? So typically flushing, and sometimes it can be awfully hot here in Hawaii, and all my Hoyas are outdoors, so it gets to the point that it can be getting dried out, that it's not getting enough water up there. But you can see there's like some sort of humidity-ish, I don't know if you guys can see, that's going up in there inside. Now it's all about how hot it has been. When was the last time I flushed my Hoyas? I try to flush my Hoyas like 2 to 4 times a month. Yeah, 2 being the least I would do it, and then 4 if I'm, you know, on top of everything, I would do it once a week. But I also, in that regards, it's also about the root placement. Now you don't want the roots too close to the wick, because that would cause the root rot. Now if you have it too far, like too high up, and it's just not, the leca is just not getting the water up there, that's what's gonna get you the underwatering issue that I've been dealing with. Now I will answer some questions that I got from my Instagram from you guys. The first question is from Plant Mama 85 for leca, how to determine how much water to fill. So for that one, since I have these guys, it's pretty easy. I try to have like a little gap right there for air. Same as goes for this one. I don't know if you guys can see right there. And then I have this baby jars, or the yogurt jars, that I also do, which is a bit trickier because the roots kind of stretch down at some point. So you want to make sure for this one, I need to put a little bit more water, but make sure to the point that it doesn't touch the roots at all, because once it touches the roots, it's gone. It's gonna be root rot immediately. Not immediately, sometimes it takes a bit, but you gotta pay attention, because sometimes it gets too thirsty to the point that it will start stretching down and get water. So you gotta kind of move it back up again. Some Hoyas, I noticed, they do fine even if they touch water, they're okay, but some just dies immediately. I have another here that's not a pot, it's just a cup and a net pot that I use. I kind of put too much water on this one, but somewhat touching if you want a little bit more water. But other than that, I think I put too much water on this one. Carly Raine, sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, says most finicky Hoyas, overwatering, underwatering. Now, like I mentioned before, a lot of people will say, like for example, back in the day, this was just January, not really back in the day, but back then, Australis Lisa, they said was super finicky. I got an Australis Lisa and it wasn't finicky for me. I got Linearis and I thought that was pretty finicky, but some people said it was pretty easy. So I think finicky is really, in a sense, just depends on how your care is and how you listen and adapt to what your Hoya needs. I think every Hoya is different, but it's all a matter of just having the time to kind of figure out what you need to do with them. Now, I will tell you this, I have had a lot of Hoyas that I've killed in the past. One of them that I would talk about is probably the Snow Queen. I've killed that in the past, all because the root touched the water and I didn't see it in time. So that one died. Finicky? Not really, but some people would say the Snow Queen is finicky. I tried it for the second time now and it's doing fine. It's pretty chill, I would say. But yeah, the Angleriana and Linearis, those are pretty easy according to some people, but I've killed them. So it's just a matter of just really figuring out if your Hoya loves you or not. I feel like most of the time Hoyas pick us, so we don't really pick them. But next question is from Rainier Car. How often do you flush your Hoyas and leca? What is your nutrient water mix? I mentioned before, I do it 2 to 4 times a month for flushing. I do have a video of that up here that I will put for you guys if you want to see how I flush my Hoyas. But for right now, I have all-purpose Miracle Grow that I put in my water. I'm thinking of getting some actual hydroponic nutrients somewhere down the road if I finish my big box of that. But for now, I'm using that, and so far so good. It's been good. Not a lot of deaths. There are a few every now and then, but so far so good. Monte Cristo Roots says sign of overwatering, identifying other problems. Now, for overwatering, obviously, the first ones that I can think of is the yellowing. I think the best thing to do is just checking the root. I know a lot of people would say that you try not Hoyas don't like the roots being touched, but for my system, at least with the flushing, I try to check it every week if I can flush it every week, because sometimes the roots get all tangled up, and I kind of wanted to breathe a little bit and like not all get clumped up. So I do check for pests and stuff like that. So you just kind of just have to do your due diligence on that one. For my system, it's a bit easy. I don't have to wait, other than the yellowing, I don't have to wait to see signs most of the time, but it's usually yellowing. I would say that would be the number one that scares me immediately. So but yeah, that's all I can think of on the top of my head. I'm sorry, I haven't really experienced a lot of problems with my Hoya. A lot of people, I did see like a fungal thing, like those one black spot at some point on my carry eye, but I noticed that eventually went away. I didn't have to treat it or anything. I know there are some fungal. There are some treatment for those. I haven't tried any yet, so I can't really recommend. The next one is from But Do You Hoya. How do you water leca? Do you keep a reservoir? Yes. As I've shown before, I do keep a reservoir, and if you don't, you just have to be super alert and checking the roots, making sure that it's not crawling into the water and causing root rot. Okay, so the next one is from Jillian's _plant_ corner. What is the average humidity level there in Hawaii? Now, Hawaii, I looked it up on Google. It did say 68. But according to my iPhone, it fluctuates from 45 to 50 every now and then. So I'm not really sure, because I don't have what does he call that, thermostat? I don't have that measuring thing for the humidity, so I'm not sure. And most of my Hoyas are outdoors, so I can't really put my humidifier there. Although I did get a humidifier from Elechomes that I've been using inside the house, which is somewhat nice, especially in the bedroom. But I can't wait to try that someday when we move to a bigger place and try that humidifier with my Hoyas indoors. We'll see. But I think that's all I'm gonna cover for the watering part. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and I'll answer those as best as I could. We're going to rooting and transitioning your Hoyas from soil or anywhere to leca, if you do decide to go with leca as your medium. So the first question I have is from Angelia's Plants. How do root cuttings in leca? Now, for these ones, I try to use this, like I said, water leca, water roots leca, whichever. That one is just varying depending on what your preference is. Sometimes I do put just straight up cutting and water. That would be my ideal way of rooting Hoyas. But I did try this recently with these pots with rooting my Hoyas, and basically just what I do is I put the stem all the way at the bottom of this pot. Make sure not to have too much water there that touches the bottom of it, and just leave it there and try not to touch it. Every now and then I'll probably pour a little bit of water on the stem to kind of not have it dry out. But that one has worked the best for me so far. I know some people would say they have propagation boxes, but because of the humidity here in Hawaii, that's been a struggle for me to figure out. Next question is from New Plant Babies. I don't know if I wrote New Plant. Thank you. Now I do have a video of that I'm gonna put up here about how my Hoyas did, but basically they just like a lot of humidity. I would say for any Hoyas, not just Thailand, but I soaked mine for around almost 20 hours in water with a little bit of Super Thrive. And then I try to put them somewhere not too bright because they have been in the box for depending on how long it got to you. So same with receiving plant mail Hoyas or any type of plants, you kind of want to transition it slowly to wherever it needs to go. You kind of look at it from the Hoya's perspective, or how the Hoyas feel in regards to getting immediate light. If you have a humidifier, that's great. They do love humidity and kind of makes them adjust a bit better. But I don't really have too much experience in regards to acclimating imported Hoyas yet, since that was my first. Another one from Carly Renee says converting from leca to soil. I have a video of that one that I'm gonna put up here as well, on how I convert my Hoyas from soil to leca. Now I do notice that they do a lot better when you root them from water or something, or root them from leca and then to leca, because the thing with soil, you have to clean it, and sometimes even if you clean those roots, I notice they don't really survive most of the time. Most of the time they just die and turn into that stringy thing. And then new roots starts to emerge, because you know, it's kind of like you're rooting them in leca in a sense. But most of the ones I transferred from soil to leca has been doing great. So it's just a matter of preference if you want to see those icky stringy roots. Ask Daddy. So from Chick Mama Plants, best way to root cuttings, leca. Like I said before, leca would be my number one choice, and then next is water, and if that doesn't work, I do sphagnum moss, and then lastly soil. That would be my that would be when I'm losing all hope, I would do soil. But honestly, there's no best way to root cuttings in my opinion. I think the best is whatever works with you, whatever you have time for, whatever you feel comfortable using. I personally like seeing roots, so I like water and leca a lot. But if you don't care for those, you can use soil, because soil has a pretty high success. There are a lot of rooting methods, and even if I can recommend something that works for me, it will not always work well for other people. So just keep that in mind and try to test out different rooting methods and see what works for you. What else? So that's all I have for rooting and transition. Let's talk about real quick about lighting. So a lot of people nowadays have been sun stressing, or like grow light stressing their Hoyas, and that's great. But that's something that even I can't do, and requires a little bit of practice. You got to make sure that the Hoyas that you are sun stressing has slowly acclimated to whatever light that you want it on. So that takes time, and it's not really easy. I have to be honest, I'm still struggling with that. But I'm gonna share down in this description below the pots I've been using, the lights I've been using. It's not working for me, but so far it's producing a lot of growth, I would say. So I totally recommend them. I'm gonna show you guys real quick how my setup looks during the day, and then here's how it looks during nighttime. Now I do have grow lights here. I haven't really set up grow lights on this side because I just don't know how to attach them, and I figured it'll be fine without grow lights for now. So this is all I have, but so far so good. My Hoyas have been loving it. And then on top of that, I wanted to also share in the description down below the stuff that I've been using for my Hoyas. So the first one is just the normal mix that I make. I use a spray, but this is a mix that I made with just the same solution that I used for that, to kind of spray my Hoyas once a day if I have the time, to kind of give them some love in any way I can. And I also use Super Thrive for cuttings or Hoyas that I just get from the mail that have been looking dreadful. I don't really find the need. I used to put Super Thrive in my reservoir, but I don't really find the need to do it because it's been just doing fine with just that. I use this one for the mealybugs because that's the #1 pest that I always see on my Hoyas, and so far it's been doing good. I try to put it on my reservoir once a month if I remember, but most of the time it's been doing great. Like, I don't see a lot of mealybugs, so I just basically put it when I start to see them on either the roots or the stem. But I've been using this one as well. What else? Other than that, I'll put all the links below of where I get my stuff, except for the leca. The leca, I try to get that locally. I used to get it from Amazon, but I found a cheaper alternative locally for it. I do have a couple more questions that I want to go through real quick before we end this video. Do you experience any stunted growth, baby leaves, baby leaves that won't grow? Not as often, but I see them once or twice every now and then, where it's just a leaf and then just turns yellow and fall off, or it's a leaf and then it just dries off. No, that just depends on like how hot it's been or if I've noticed it. Sometimes some leaves just wants to not make it, but most of the time, luckily, mine makes it. And I don't think I've seen stunted growth. Honestly, on soil, I've seen it to the point that it wasn't doing anything, and that's when I transitioned to leca. But so far, ever since I transitioned, everyone, I would say 95% of my Hoyas, not everyone, 95% of my Hoyas have been growing. Whether it's fast or slow, they are doing something. So that one is from Soil Free Hoyas. And then the next one is from Anderson.ng. Care tips for winter. This is actually going to be my first winter with my Hoya collection. It's because last time I didn't really pay attention to them last year when I was in Hawaii, and I didn't really have that much, so I don't really have any care tips. I'm assuming my lights would be enough, but so far the coldest we've been experiencing, and it's not even winter yet technically, the coldest that I've been experiencing is at night, is at 75. And the night, you know, I feel like it goes by fast, and with the grow lights I have, it kind of warms my Hoyas up a little bit, so I'm not too worried. But I don't know, this is my first time, so I guess I'll just figure that out along the way. Newman John Mansell is asking me for ideas on utilizing all space around the windowsill for growing Hoyas in pots or hanging baskets. Now, I've never done that before. There's not that much windows at my house, but I did see those cute little other than hanging pots on, or hanging macrames on curtain rods, the other ones that I've seen was the one that kind of sticks to the window. I thought that was pretty cool. Or just, you know, the traditional box looking windowsill that you can attach there somewhere. I think that would look pretty cool, but honestly, I have no experience, and I'm sorry I couldn't share anything more for you. But that's what I'm thinking on the top of my head right now. Anyone else? Beehive Botanical says, what fertilizer do you use on your Hoyas, and what do you use for pest prevention? I'm sorry, I think I mentioned that before. I don't know why I accidentally put this at the back. I should have put it all the way in the front, but I mentioned that before. I use Miracle All-Purpose Grow, and for pest prevention I use Bison, if I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, I think that's everything. I'm so sorry that's been so long. I wasn't expecting it to be that long. But thank you so much for sticking around. If you have any questions that I might have missed, please comment down below and let me know, or you can feel free to DM me on my Instagram. It's gonna be Loca_4_Hoya. I'm gonna show you guys real quick my setup again in case you wanted to see it. But most of them, yeah, it's all in self-watering pots. I transition everything to self-watering pots, and I love them. I'm gonna put all the links down below on my description, so feel free to check them out. But that's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much, and take care. Stay safe. I'll see you guys till the next video. Bye.